Hey guys, it's Scott with Scotty B Cards. In this episode, I have an interview with Robert Broadwater from Collectibles Insurance Services, and me and Robert discuss the advantages of actually getting insurance for your sports cards and other collectibles. Collectibles Insurance Services does everything from collecting sports cards, other autographed memorabilia, game use memorabilia, comics, a bunch of other stuff. And in this interview, he can explain why it's an advantage for you as a collector. One thing I wanted to say before the video starts is please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and will help me continue to release these videos and be able to have content that is enjoyable for everybody. So thanks guys, and have a great day and enjoy the interview.
All right, Rob, so start things off, out of curiosity, did you ever collect cards as a kid?
I did not ever collect cards as a kid. No. Just wasn't my thing. The only collecting I ever did, I did collect model airplanes as a kid.
I was going to say, because you're from the East Coast, aren't you?
Yes, born and raised in New Jersey.
So to be in New Jersey and to not collect cards, and you're probably in the 90s, I'm assuming. Pretty surprising.
Yeah, no, I just never got into it. I mean, I even played baseball and other sports, but just never got into the card collecting side.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, first thing is I'd like to have you introduce yourself, who you are, kind of where you work at, and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Bob Broadwater. I'm the director at Collectibles Insurance Services. Been with the organization about 8 years now, and it's been a great company to be a part of. Get to meet a lot of interesting folks, and talk about some pretty cool things.
That's great. And thanks for hopping on, Bob. I just wanted to help other collectors like myself who have their collections growing to know that this is even a service that's available for them. As our collections get more valuable, there's all these threats of either theft or loss in the mail or even just fire damage or other damage to the home. So I kind of wanted to have people know what's available. So I guess my first question is, you said you're a director at Collectible Insurance Services, but what does the company as a whole do? Like, what do they actually cover in regards to collectibles?
Sure. So our company, the group company I'm a part of is called Global Indemnity Group. Okay. We're a specialty property and casualty insurance company. We have several different business divisions. Our largest one is small business. Our primary focus is specialty commercial insurance. By that, I mean companies and small businesses that struggle to get your traditional types of insurance. Types of businesses that have unique risk. Things like dry cleaners, restaurants, bars. More high-risk activities that require specialized underwriting. Our company, we don't do personal auto insurance or homeowners insurance. There's plenty of carriers out there. We're in the side of the market that does specialized underwriting. So things like collectibles that just take a different look, that fall outside of the purview of the large companies. We're really an underwriting company, and that involves all types of unique types of property, which collectibles falls under.
Definitely. Awesome. So I guess if, let's say I had an account with you, which I do, but let's say for somebody who doesn't, what do you and do you not cover for collectibles? Like, what would be covered under your insurance?
So this, the product we have right now fills a gap left in homeowners products. Homeowners insurance will cover personal property at what's called actual cash value. That means you purchase some new furniture. Several years from now, it's destroyed, water, fire, what have you, theft. Though that personal property will be depreciated X number of years since you acquired it. Beyond that, there's several things that homeowners simply won't cover. Things that are unique or higher value, things like art, collectibles, firearms. There's jewelry unless you schedule it. So there's all kinds of things that homeowners simply won't cover, or if they do cover, they depreciate it versus what it would cost to replace it or the market value of it. So what we do is we designed a standalone insurance product. It's a what's called a monoline property insurance product, and that will insure any items you have to the market value. So it's filling that gap so that you don't have to go through your homeowners because they simply won't cover it. We're covering essentially the same types of losses that a homeowner's policy would cover for your other items. Things like fire, water damage, theft, or the main ones to your home. Beyond that, we also cover shipping and what's called transit exposures. So if you sell something or you acquire something, that item is insured should it get lost in the mail, damaged on its way to you, to or from, or several of our collectors, they attend shows, they travel with their collection for whatever the case may be. Should damage occur while en route somewhere, most commonly theft, we do cover that loss as well. So it doesn't have to be in your home to be covered. It is covered whenever it is with you outside the home or in the middle of a shipment.
That's fantastic, because I know a lot of people, I know we've talked about this before, but just for the audience, I know a lot of people who've sent mail this last month and either was delivered to the wrong place and they can't find the item, or it was just straight up lost or damaged, and they're out the entire amount they sold it for. The buyer will always be protected on eBay, but the seller's screwed. So let's say I sold a $4,000 card. That's one of my friends sold a $4,000 card, and it was delivered to the wrong address and they can't recover. Will we just give you a call, show you the tracking and communication, and we'd have a claim filed and go from there and get the money back, or how would it work?
That's correct. Yes. So we do ask for anything being shipped that you require signature. That helps us establish the trail. And it also protects the customer for someone saying, if they signed for it, they can't say they didn't get it. So yes, right now the mail is very unreliable. So they send something out, it's tracked, it just gets lost, delivered the incorrect place, or damaged due to extended time taken to get there. If the customer is either the sender or the buyer, depending on who, as long as the customer has a receipt or record of that transaction, if it's the buyer and they already paid for it, they're telling us that they're saying, hey, I paid this for it, I never received it. That's a claim. Or also on the seller side, if the seller is our customer, they same thing. I processed this. You can see it was lost via the tracking, and here's a claim for it. We've gotten we're pretty widespread in terms of where we cover where our customers are all over the country. So we've run into scenarios where the seller and the customer actually both are insured. So whoever is out, that's the individual will make whole and make sure they recover the lost money.
That's awesome. So speaking of how many people you cover, is it a pretty big audience? Like, do you know how many collectors off the top of your head, sports card people, actually have accounts with you guys?
Yeah, we're in the 20,000s range. This company started out, it's been around since the mid 1960s. It started out with a stamp collector. Stamp collectors and stamp dealers, that's not even covered by your homeowners, not even at cash value. So there was a gap there, and stamps were a very popular collectible item back then. It specialized primarily in stamps, coins, and art. Since then, we've evolved. We still, of course, insure those things. But since then, the growth segments we're seeing are sports collectors, not just cards, all types of memorabilia. Comic books are a very fast growing segment, and all the related paraphernalia. Much of that is thanks to the Marvel movies and everything else. Just the original Marvel and DC comics have just exploded in value. Another segment that is always growing, we do also do firearm collections, which is a different audience than the other ones, but also an audience that has there's not many options to insure those types of things. Military collections, those types of things. We basically will insure any type of collection outside collector auto. There's other companies that do that and that specialize in that. They do that well. And we don't, at present, we don't do collectible, we don't do wine collections, perishables. But those are the two most common ones we don't do. Pretty much anything else, if it's a collectible property, and we do some pretty unique things, we'll consider the insurance for it.
Awesome. This is kind of off topic. Do you guys cover video games too and stuff, the vintage ones?
Yes. Awesome. Yes. Growing segment, for sure.
Definitely.
Video games, there's a couple companies that do that well. The video game consoles, some of the rarer ones go for quite a bit on eBay, especially if they're still in working order. We cover the original Apple computer, things like that are quite a bit. We extend coverage to.
Well, that's awesome. So we talked a little bit about how if you filed the claim, you take it off of the market value. How do you value those cards? Is it just like off of the sold eBay listings, or how would you do that?
Sure. So there's several resources we use. We have subscriptions with PSA, Beckett. We do online research with different auction houses. Sports, being as common as they are fairly easier to value. So we go to a couple different resources based on the item you lost, and come up with a value, a range of value, that we think it's worth. If the customer happens to have a record of that value and it's close to what we're coming to, then we'll settle for what the customer has.
Awesome.
If it's completely different, not common, but if it is completely different than the value we're seeking, we'll just ask. We'll go back to the customer and say, "Can you substantiate that? Can you show what would you what would it take to replace that item today on the market?" And if you're able to find a similar card going on auction for the price you believe it's worth, then that's what we settle for.
Awesome. So you guys sound like you're really easy to work with in comparison to other homeowners, like policies and stuff.
Yeah, because everything's so unique, and the values are fluctuating. It's very different. Homeowners and auto there's just mountains of data. They aggregate the data on their side and they'll tell you what things are worth.
Okay.
With rare items, it's the values are moving targets, sometimes up and sometimes down. And it's just establishing, looking at what are people paying for those items today. So it's a very different type of claim settlement process than say, my roof was damaged, I need it replaced.
Totally. Okay, awesome. Well, I have a couple more questions. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I appreciate it. I guess my next one is what's the biggest claim you've actually ever given out for a sports card, out of curiosity? I don't think we talked about that prior, but if you know off the top of your head.
Sure. I can't recall the biggest claim we ever settled, but I can tell you we insure individual cards that are up to and maybe just past $1 million for an individual card.
Cool.
There's a couple on the books that we have that is the current value. So while we have had a few large losses, thankfully, because of the care people have with these items, that our experience has been good, because we recognize their passion of these items is more so than say their home or their car. They'll do everything they can to get these items out of harm's way because they don't want to check from us. They want to preserve the item. So
I was going to say,
we insure some pretty big items.
That's one nice thing. I doubt there's much fraud in regards to this market, simply because they'd rather have the item than the money. A lot of these rare.
That's correct. Yeah, that hasn't been our experience, and I get that question frequently. How much fraud do you see? Thankfully, knock on wood, not much.
Yeah.
Most people are pretty honest, and again, it's pretty easy to track down if that was the case.
Totally. And I was even thinking my own collection. So I opened an account with you guys 2 years ago, and at the time my collection was like $5,000. And then the last 2 years it's gone much, much, much higher. And this next year I have to raise it another, $30,000, $40,000 just because the cards have appreciated so much with all the new collectors coming in.
Yes.
But it gives a lot of peace of mind knowing that if I were to lose everything, I would be covered, because that is gut-wrenching because of the cash value, but because of the collectible sentiment as well. So I think you guys do an awesome job, and it sounds like you're super customer-oriented, which is fantastic for this type of market.
We really are. Again, many of our customers, they have interesting stories to tell. Our sales team is focused on just understanding how you got into collecting and, how they can help. And it also helps we're talking about something people enjoy talking about.
Yeah.
And we have a couple collectors themselves who are our sales agents, and they just enjoy talking to collectors. Even if it's something different, it's that passion that they enjoy discussing.
Awesome. And so I guess as a collector, what would you guys prefer as a company? Do you prefer us to have inventory lists of everything so we can actually have a detailed record of it all? Like, what do we need to do on our side once we open an account with you?
Sure. At the end of the day, the more information, the better. Many of our collectors, they do have a schedule of items. We don't require you to put anything on your schedule of items unless that individual item is $25,000 or greater in value.
Okay.
That being said, the more records, the better. Many collectors catalog their items differently. There's some tools out there that allow you to do that. If you have any type of catalog, even if it's in a spreadsheet, that helps immensely.
Yeah.
The most common, that could be a lot of work. Some people have a lot of stuff. Pictures also help. They'll send in some pictures of items they own. We'll put those pictures in your file. And then obviously if there should be a loss, it's simply a matter of establishing what that item was. Okay, you said you had it, it's on your list, and or here's a picture of it, and or here's a receipt if you happen to have that. Less likely, but possible. So all of those things together, the more information, the better. It greatly expedites the claim settlement process.
Awesome. Okay, well, I just have a few more questions for you. My next one is, could you give us like an idea of rates? I know rates can be depending on the state, maybe depending on how big the collection is, but can you give us an idea of like a $10,000, a $20,000, a $50,000, and $100,000 collections?
Absolutely. Just give me one moment here. I was actually just pulling that up.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I want to give an accurate range here.
This will be good for me too, so I can get my new quote for the year.
Yep. So before I mention rates real quick, I did want to mention we do have two different products. One product is geared towards the collector. The other is geared towards the dealer and some of the unique risks that they have. Obviously, the vast majority of our insurance customers are collectors, but we do have a dealer product. The dealer rates are more than what I'm about to quote because there's just more stuff going on there, higher transactional volume. So the dealer product costs a little more. Okay. But for your typical collector, our insurance products start at $50 a year. That $50 a year would get you about $7,000 or $8,000 worth of coverage. To give some benchmark numbers here, if you had a $20,000 collection, that cost would be about $125 a year. Roughly, again, there's state taxes and fees but plus or minus 10 or 15 bucks. That's about what it is. And then as you go into the larger value, say a $50,000 collection, you're up anywhere between $260 and $300.
Awesome.
And I'll give just one more benchmark here. If you were at $100,000 in value, you're talking about $750 a year. Which, when you think about $100,000 worth of coverage, for $750 a year, you're not talking a lot of money compared to what you spent to acquire a collection that size.
Less than 1% of the value. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about dealer rates? And how would you categorize let's say I sell a bunch of cards on eBay, but all the cards I sell go to fund the hobby because I sold a higher volume, but I'm not actually profiting. Am I considered a dealer or a collector at that point? Like, where's the line on determining what's what?
Sure. A way to think about if it's your business and you're actively advertising items for sale, there's always going to be some incidental trading. You turn in a couple items, you trade up basically. But if you have a business that says, collectiblecards.com and people are going on there and you're selling, you have a storage facility or a vault in your house where you keep these things. If you're advertising things for sale to the public, that's generally where we draw a line for dealer. If I can go in on a site and purchase something from you, beyond just you trading a couple things on eBay, but actually go to your site and
got you
run a transaction, that's what we would consider a dealer.
So not like Instagram or Facebook sales, but more.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, not through social media, but really a true business like e-commerce site.
Awesome. Now that's great to know. So out of curiosity, if there are any dealers watching, what percentage higher would those rates be for a dealer?
Sure. So they are a bit higher. So for example, if you have $50,000 in inventory, that coverage is about $900 a month. Okay. Or, I'm sorry, not a month, a year, about $900 a year. 100,000 inventory, you're talking about $1,500 to $1,800. So it's a little more than double. The reason is the extensive shipping and transit risks that go along with that.
Totally.
These dealers will typically pack up everything they have and drive in a normal year, drive through shows throughout the country. there's exposure with the movement of the collection, whether it's with you or via shipping. A regular collector, their collection just simply doesn't move that much. But a dealer is constant. The inventory is high turnover, high susceptibility to damage, also often in storage facilities, which adds an additional risk. And then the high frequency of shipping. As you can imagine, the majority of our claims are shipping related.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine with USPS the way it is. Nothing against them, but I just know they ship so much so often that things get lost sometimes. No, that's great. That's kind of all my questions I had for you. I guess one final thing, is there anything else that you want to let my followers know about like your business and your service that we haven't talked about yet?
Sure. If we're happy to provide a quote for anyone who's interested. You can simply Google Collectibles Insurance, or we're at collectinsure.com. You can go in there and get a quote, couple minutes, enter some information. There's also a number on there. You can call us, and one of our sales agents will be happy to give you a quote. We do attend shows. We are active on social media, so you can message us through Instagram or Facebook as well. We do monitor those feeds during business hours. Awesome. We do, if it happens this year, we do attend the National Sports Collector Convention, National, each year. I myself personally do attend. I was disappointed this year because it would have been in New Jersey, so that would have been helpful. But if it happens, we do attend that event, and we always think it's a great one.
And Bob, so I guess my final question is, if you had $100,000, what sports card or sports cards would you put it into? I know you're not a huge card collector, so I want to know what your perspective is. Is it Pokemon? Is it basketball? Is it LeBron?
It's funny you mentioned LeBron. The LeBron card is one of the more valuable ones I've seen recently. I would say, in terms of from an investment perspective, what we've seen, the NBA ones they're all increasing in value, but particularly the NBA ones, are really increasing in value the most. So if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, and that's probably where I would put it, in some NBA cards, a LeBron card, because that is just we've seen a tremendous uptick in that recently.
Funny thing is, I collected basketball cards growing up. In 2003 was my first blaster box, was the Topps, where LeBron's rookie card is in.
Yes.
And I collected basketball religiously until I was about, 16, 17, 18. And then I decided I liked baseball. So I sold all my basketball, and now I wish I was holding on to it because it would be worth a lot more. So yeah, I've seen basketball's gone crazy the last 3 years compared to any other sport. It's just blown up.
It really has. And it goes even beyond cards. The memorabilia, autographs. We do autographs as well. It's remarkable how many people, and with COVID and all, people spending more time at home, people have taken that time to catalog their items, work on their home office. The collector market has grown, and people have just spent more time working on their collection this past year.
Well, awesome. Well, Bob, I appreciate all the time that you've given me, and thanks for answering these questions. Hopefully we can get some people your way and help some other people get insured. So I appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Scott. Have a good one.
You too. See you later.
Bye.